You are right to feel the way you feel, and I want you to remember that. Period. This is upsetting me and my homegirls.
Oh, 'cause I like the way it feels when you touch me. You got me good.
Hi, strangers. I know, this is crazy, right? What's up, guys? Aisha Tubella here. Welcome back to my video. If you're new, welcome. I'm in the business of normalizing femininity, excellence, and luxury for Black women. And today's video is a bit different than the usual, but it's okay. I'm rebranding and I'm focusing on these things that I just said. By the title of it, it's going to be a get ready with me, and I'm going to open up about life experiences. And if you're interested in knowing about mental health and the stigma that we're going through, just keep on watching. Wow, girl, I don't even know where to start. So I'm gonna get ready. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere, and they're gonna see this big face. But I just really wanted to do my makeup while I talk about this, because you know, I'm having coffee chat with my girls and guys, and if I have makeup on, I don't think I'm gonna cry. Where have I been? I would like to think that I was becoming a bit more consistent on my YouTube channel, but I ultimately disappeared overall. Like, I even disappeared in the real world. I disappeared on Instagram, and I was super consistent there. My algorithm, girl, all right, calm down. The algorithm was like on my side. I was getting like a high engagement rate, but the end of 2019 and well into right before the pandemic, like literally February, I would say, I was deeply depressed. And I also had anxiety. So it just felt like I just couldn't do it anymore. Girl. So there were things that triggered it. Overall, I think that I was already a depressed person. And it might come to a shock to a lot of people because I'm so joyous, but there were things in my life and like certain trauma that I was going through that made me predisposed to depression already. So I was dealing with a lot of that, and then something broke the camel's back and I just like went into depression. I think that my darkest was around Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays, and I was just really sad and I felt a lot of guilt. What depression felt like to me in November, oh my god, ew, I'm getting emotional already. What the hell? No. What depression felt like to me, and I know there's just like this stigma, like in the movies where people think that you're depressed and you're walking around slicing your wrist and like ready to kill yourself. And I mean, it could be true, and I think that is like the higher intensity. I'm not a doctor, so do not like take my terminology verbatim. Not the foundation not coming out. Depression to me felt like constant sadness, and it was for certain things. Like, things happened and I just couldn't like deal with it anymore. It felt like I was surrounded by people who didn't understand what I felt. I cried every day for like a month straight. When you're not depressed, things happen naturally in the world. Things happen in life. And when you're not depressed, you handle it better. For example, I'm working. I have a 9-to-5. I'm working, and my boss is telling me, you have 10 or 15 projects that I need you to get done by Friday. You have 5 days to complete this. When you're depressed, you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to show up, you know? But I still showed up. I went to work. I showed up. Like, I felt like I was forced to smile. And I'm a very joyous person. Like, if you know me personally, you know, like, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't smile. But I couldn't smile. I would go to the bathroom and cry because I didn't want to be at work, but I knew that I needed the job. It was so sad. I was so sad. And I felt like no one got me, and I'm such a private person, so I didn't want to like say what was going on, but I knew it was serious because I did like tell some close friends, and my therapist felt for me. So I know that I wasn't crazy, but I was triggered. Something triggered it, and I just went from like depression level 3 to level 20. I could not manage. I went from going to therapy once a week to going to therapy 2 times a week. Like the minute I walked out of therapy, I felt like I needed to go back in. Oh, I was ashamed because let me tell you guys something. A lot of people preach on Twitter and they're like self-care, mental health, check on your strong friends, etc. But when it's in the real world, like people squirm at anxiety and depression. So I felt like I wasn't relatable, and when I did tell certain people that I counted on, they would tell me like, I get that you're depressed, but I need you to get over it. I can't believe you going to therapy. Therapy are for white people. So things like that. So I felt more reserved, and it is normalized now. Why am I still doing my foundation? It's normalized on social media, but I wouldn't say it's normalized in the real world. At the time, I just felt like no one got me. What's worse to me was that I was going through depression, but I was also having generalized anxiety. We are predisposed to having fight or flight mode, and my anxiety felt like I was on fight and flight mode all day, every day, and I couldn't control it. And then I was sad that I was feeling like that, and I was depressed. How could I not control my emotion? I felt weak. Oh my God, I'm not the strong friend. And now that I'm in the present, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about myself in a minute. But I just wanted to do this video because I want to speak my truth, and I always have. But when I was in this dark time, I remember researching because I really wanted help. I remember researching videos and articles on how to manage your mental health, and I also, like right after therapy, I would look up certain things, and I felt like if I had this video during my dark time, it would be like the push for me to seek help. And yes, I was going to therapy, but I wasn't really like open about, you know, like, hey, I have these thoughts, you know, that my life is in jeopardy. I have these suicidal thoughts, and I was just ashamed about that because I felt like, how could I give up life? So that's pretty much what anxiety and depression felt like to me at my worst. And I think that people don't understand that this is like a genetic disorder. I couldn't really like talk to certain people because I felt like they thought it was taboo and shocking, like, oh my God, you go to therapy, like, oh my God, you're depressed, like, you'll get over it. And it doesn't work like that. It is genetic, you know. And I thought that depression was just a feeling, anxiety and depression was just a feeling, but I was predisposed to it, and ultimately it just means that I have this chemical imbalance in my brain, whereas normal people can bounce off, but my brain is not. It doesn't work like that, you know. And when I found that, I was like, oh crap, so anything wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. If anything, you're strong, and you have strong emotional intelligence because you're aware of your emotions. So I felt like at the time, people just like, not people, but I'm also speaking my truth, but certain people that I counted on just expected me to bounce off because I'm such a joyous person, and that's not how depression works, you know. If it worked like that, I could turn off the light switch, but it doesn't. Oh, I'll be back. I gotta go with my beauty blender. This is upsetting me and my homegirls. That's ultimately what depression felt like to me, and also anxiety. The slightest thing could trigger me. I would be so upset about like things that I'm not upset about now, and I just feel like I will be okay. I felt like a dark cloud was always following me. I was right to feel that way. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and felt like that. Like things happened in my life continuously. Like I had a lot of trauma, and then I just had enough. And when I was trying to unlearn certain traumas, life was also happening, and I just felt like I would have never gotten out of it. And I remember crying in therapy so hard till my nose bled, because when it was raining, girl, it was pouring. And I remember telling my therapist, like, nothing is working out. I feel like there's a cloud over my head. And I remember her telling me, things will get better. Things will get better. And I didn't believe her. I was like, girl, how you know? Are you God? Okay. You know? So all these things led to me feeling like I wanted to give up. I didn't feel like getting up in the morning, but I would get up anyway. I would do enough to keep my job, and even my boss knew, like people in the office knew, because I wasn't myself. They didn't know my business because I'm a very private person, but they just knew something was wrong, and I just wanted to be left alone. I wanted to complete my task and go home. So that's really how I felt. I really want to talk about how to deal with depression and anxiety when you're in it. I'm obviously not a doctor, but I just want this video to be relatable to anybody who is in the current position that I was in. I would say number one, first things first, please seek help. And I know that when you're in that situation, it feels like no matter what anybody does, like you're not gonna feel better, but you will. I seeked help because I really wanted like a neutral person who had my best interest at heart. People are nosy. I didn't want to feel like I had to go through so many people and tell them what I was feeling and then feel like, oh, I don't feel better, let me go to the next. So I just went to a professional who didn't know what any of the external forces in my life and could really give me sound advice, because that's their job. So I would say seek help. I'm begging you, do not make a permanent decision off of temporary situations. I talk to God a lot, so if you're religious, I think that that's a great thing as well. Like I will go on long walks and like play the Quran and I would just sob and let it out. But because I was depressed, you know how when you cry and you feel better, like listen, sometimes you could cry and take a good nap and you'll feel better. I didn't feel like that. I just kept crying and crying, and a lot of people didn't know. Like I wipe my tears and my family will see me and not know what was going on. And there's like this stigma about depression and anxiety, and it's just so taboo and stuff like that. Go to therapy. Like I know a lot of people who are going through it right now and they won't go to therapy. Give it like, you know, just give it a few months if you can afford it. So I get it, it's also super expensive, which is like so hard, but if you can afford it, please go to therapy. I lost my therapist during my hard time because her new firm was not accepting my insurance, and I have good insurance, only accepting cash, and it was like $600 a month, and I was like, oh nah sis, I can't do that. I can't do that. So that was also like such a dark time. Imagine going through so much and opening up and then losing that person that helped you unlearn your trauma, you know. It was a lot. So I would say seek help. Sometimes when you meet a therapist, you know they're not the one for you, and sometimes you know they are. But for me, because I was in such a dark place, it took me maybe like 8 sessions to really be like, oh, I like my therapist. You know, I was going back and forth. So don't be hard on yourself. People think that when you unlearn trauma, it's all peaches and cream. It is not. Like you're sobbing, you're crying, you're really trying to break generational curses, and you feel it. You like, listen, spirit is real, like energy is real, and you feel like it's trying to break you back, and sometimes you want to give up. So it was just a lot for me, but I will say that I get it. I 100% get it. Please don't give up. I even hate to say it because I felt like people were like, you know, everybody goes through stuff, okay, and so what? My childhood is not the same thing as your childhood. There are things that trigger me because of experiences and things that happen to me, and I felt like a lot of the times, because some people are desensitized and don't feel, they make you feel a way, and I didn't like that. So you are right to feel the way you feel. I need you to know this. You are right to feel the way you feel, and I want you to remember that. Period. Another thing that I would tell you is please stop holding people to the standards that they don't meet. Ooh, baby. I know you don't want to hear it, but please stop. I would not discredit the people who showed up for me, the people who said they would stick around and they did. Oh my God, thank you. I've even told them this, like, I don't know where I would be if it weren't for you. Like, thank you. Because of that experience, I've also learned who's really for me and who's not. Depression is really hard because you expect people to show up for you, but then you don't know what you want. So it becomes frustrating because those people are like, what the hell you want? But you don't know either. So it's hard, but sometimes you want the presence. You don't want to be alone in your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And I thank every day those who showed up for me because it's hard. I know this sounds a little hypocritical, but I get triggered easily, and it's hard for me to like be around people. Like, I'll vent, like I'll let you vent and I'll vent to you, but I cannot bond through trauma. And I've learned because of what I went through and because of all the work that I've done through therapy and my psychologist, what the hell is he? My doctor. My God, I'm taking forever. So let me just like hurry up and like, you know, catch up with my face, and then I'll continue this conversation. Now that I'm up to speed with like my makeup, my face, I would like to like share a bit of where I am now and to hopefully inspire anyone who's going through it right now, especially during this pandemic. What I've learned is that things get better. It's not a cloud that's following you. Life comes in waves, and sometimes those waves are huge and big, and you feel like you're underwater and you can see the surface but you can't reach. But things get better. One thing that I've learned in life is that people will tell you that they will show up for you, but sometimes it's too much even for them, and that's understandable. You'll know who's really for you and who's like just not, and it's okay. But also it's hard to be around someone who's depressed, so I get that too. I've learned that. I've also learned that life is so short, and if anything I've learned in 2020, girl, I almost said 2021, in 2020, is that life is so short, and you live and then you die, and what you do in between is really up to you. Like, you're the one going to the grave by yourself. I've learned to walk in my truth no matter how uncomfortable some people are. If I'm comfortable enough to speak on it, I will. I've always walked in my truth and stuff, but I limited myself because I was afraid of what people would think of me. But I don't care. Everyone has their own thing, and those who are judging you just haven't even figured out themselves yet. So I don't be caring. I'm happy again. I'm the old me. I still get sad and emotional and overwhelmed, but it's manageable. I went from going to therapy once a week 2 years ago, and then last year I was going like nearly 3 times a week because I just could not deal with the world. Now I go every 2 weeks. So I'm extremely proud of myself. I still get triggered. People drain me. I was telling my therapist that because I give off the energy that, you know, you can talk to me, and I really love that. I'm all about motivating people and inspiring people, but I can't pour from an empty cup. And I started to feel like emptying my bucket of anxiety and trauma only to reabsorb it from people just constantly contacting me and venting. So I learned to set boundaries with certain people because they will take as much as you give. And that's not to say I'm snobby or I hate people. I value friendship and stuff, but I'm also careful to put me before anyone, period. I also learned that I am super strong. I have such a strong emotional intelligence, and because of what I went through, I'm able to recognize my feelings. I feel what I feel and then I move on from things, and it's tough, but you get through what you go through. You seriously do. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I am about to pop my lashes on, and yeah, I'm back. I'm better. I'm about to take over. I'm just joking, but I am way better than I was before. I'm just in a better space, and because I'm cognizant that life happens and anxiety and depression ebbs and flow, I recognize that, and I'm still going to therapy. I go to therapy once every other week now, but overall, like, it was just crazy to me because I would never do the certain things that I experienced while I was down, like at my lowest. And you really know who's down for you and who isn't. And honestly, like, if you in any shape or form showed up for me, even if you didn't know what I was going through, and like you showed up for me, I'm forever indebted to you. You know who you are. So thankful for you, and I would never forget that. But that's where I am now. You know, I meditate, I drink my tea, I mind my business, and I think that if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I'm nowhere near where I'm supposed to be, but I'm in a better space mentally, and that is priceless to me, you know? I'm thankful for my relationships. I have healthier relationships with, you know, those who are in my life right now. And even my therapist is like, she's low-key astonished, and she was like, I wish I could like use you as an example and show people that life gets better, because it really does. It really does. So I did this video to just tell you guys where I'm at, that I'm back and I'm better. And if you're going through it, this is your sign that things will get better too. And if you're on the fence about therapy, please go and try and do your research. And it's hard, that's the hardest part, but once you find somebody that clicks for you, it works out. It's like dating. It's really like dating. You have to keep trying, and then you meet your person. That's all that I have. So let me just pop these lashes on and wrap this up, because I got things to do. I don't know where I'm going with this bee face and a mask on, but I'm going somewhere. That sums up my video, you guys. I know y'all didn't think I was gonna be looking like Shirley Temple for the rest of the day, because baby, do you see this hair combed out? But seriously, you guys, this sums up this video. Just please remember that I get what you're going through, or I get what you went through. Life is short, it's precious, and it is beautiful. You will get through what you're going through. And that's all for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for sticking around. Bye, guys.